If Warner Brothers existed inside the DC universe, I'm quite certain Batman would have to raid the office to rescue the developers of his games. It can't be very fun to make a game like this. Imagine you're a hard-working developer who has a franchise you didn't create plopped into your lap by a huge media conglomerate with the instructions to make a game that plays just as well as the other games not made by you, sells as well, keeps the fans interested while the bigger, shinier follow-up cooks in the oven, and you have only a year to make it, and you have to scrape the bottom of the rogues gallery barrel for your villains. If there is any solace for these developers, it's probably that they made a less buggy game than Arkham Knight, and didn't force a Batmobile suction down your throat again and again. A little fact that goes unmentioned in the world of Batman is that bats are a reservoir species for diseases that easily pass on to humans, so working in a cave full of them means Bruce Wayne is likely the patient zero of several world-ending plagues. Bruce even takes his meals down here for God's sake, not to mention the guano cleanup costs. The series never lets anyone see poor Alfred cleaning the mess off the Batmobile for a reason.
Police and emergency services are urging Gotham residents to stay off the roads and in their homes tonight in light of the severe winter storm still banished the island through.
Arkham City and Arkham Knight at least attempted to come up with a plausible reason for why Gotham City streets are filled with nothing but roving gangs of masked criminals by turning the city into a prison and evacuating it during a terrorist attack. With Origins' lazy excuse, I don't think they should have bothered. Apparently, the non-criminal citizens of Gotham fear a few inches of snow more than losing their children's love by not having the right toy for them on Christmas Eve. I wish Batman would have come this prepared back in Arkham City and Asylum. Weirdly, a lot of his equipment here is what he had to earn in Arkham City.
Tonight, we put to rest one of Gotham's most heinous and relentless killers.
The fact that Gotham City has the death penalty is the most shocking reveal for me. I assume the lack of one was the explanation for why criminals never seem to die after being put away by Batman after he catches them murdering uncountable numbers of people. Capital punishment sure would make the idea of sticking all the worst criminals in an asylum or a city block turned into a prison seem a tad redundant. Black masked goons raided a prison armed entirely with their fists and baseball bats, judging by the ones Batman has to fight. Rather than use the explosives he carried for breaking down walls, Batman stands around and allows Black Mask to kill Commissioner Loeb in the gas chamber. He only gets into the room afterward because Killer Croc randomly smashed one of Black Mask's goons against the window for no reason. In Arkham Asylum, Killer Croc looked like this. He did a lot of growing in the next couple years, which would actually make sense given that crocodiles continue growing for their entire life. Except that Batman goes out of his way to explain that Killer Croc is just a mutant and has nothing to do with actual crocodiles. Batman recovered an SD card from a drone that was following Black Mask in the prison. On the card are recordings of Black Mask holding a meeting about hiring assassins to kill Batman. Somehow the drone recorded from multiple camera angles and went unnoticed by everyone in the room.
Each of them gets one of these envelopes. I need them delivered tonight.
Unless all of these assassins are already in Gotham, your men are going to have a hard time delivering those invitations in just a few hours. I think assassins would be hard people to find after all.
Here's a face I don't recognize. Copperhead. Strange. These reports reference a male, not a female.
I don't think anyone would have noticed Copperhead's gender being flipped, since I doubt most people even know who she was before this game. Since all of these assassins have been offered $50 million to kill Batman, why not use the untold billions at Bruce Wayne's disposal to make a counteroffer through one of Bruce Wayne's many obscure back channels to bring in Black Mask alive and get $100 million?
8 assassins after your head. What are you going to do?
8 villains are after your head, sir. It's very much like that game with the blue robot you enjoy playing. Mega Man, was it?
Well, well, if it isn't the King Thug himself.
Oh look, it's the Riddler side quest again that takes you all over the city solving boring puzzles and collecting trinkets that no one except masochists ever finish. At least they didn't hide the real ending behind completing it like they did in Arkham Knight. If you're going to include the Pulp Fiction briefcase in Batman, make sure you don't let us see that there's nothing inside of it that would glow or be considered valuable for trade. Penguin set up his own private wireless network in the city, and it was undone by one goon not bothering to lock his cell phone. I'm a bit confused on the timeline. This game takes place years before Arkham Asylum, which took place in 2010, yet people in Origins use smartphones.
Save me a lot of trouble coming here, Batman.
Penguin was the one keeping an eye on Black Mask with the drone, so what's with one of the assassins Black Mask hired doing randomly on his ship? What happened to the tagline of this game? Your enemies will define you. What does a glass jaw and a villain no one knows about define about Batman? Deathstroke somehow tracked Batman to Penguin's ship. Batman had to triangulate cell phone signals to find this place. How did Deathstroke manage? Damn good boss fight though. Black Mask was found dead. That should mean the end of the assassination contract, but none of the assassins seemed to care. Also, if the police were investigating Black Mask's death, why didn't they seem surprised when he showed up at Blackgate Prison hours ago? The police investigated Black Mask's penthouse after the murders, but removed none of the bodies or evidence.
Easy. I need access to the National Criminal Database.
It's right here.
While hacking Gotham PD's servers, Batman runs into Barbara Gordon. This is supposed to matter because later she becomes Batgirl and then Oracle after being crippled. But nothing about this meeting leads to her working with Batman. For a game that calls itself Origins, it's pretty weak on any of these origins. This only makes the established timeline that much harder to pin down. Within only a few years, Batman manages to train 3 different Robins plus a Batgirl. For a tech company CEO with a time-consuming hobby, he sure gets a lot done. With all the police Batman beats up during this game, it's hard to believe they treat him as an asset a few years down the line. Black Mask wasn't murdered in his penthouse. He sent in a body double while the real Black Mask somehow came in through the balcony. The attacker shot and killed the body double the moment he entered the penthouse. The only problem is that the attacker planned to assume Black Mask's identity and needed him alive to use his biometrics to gain access to the Gotham Merchants Bank which he owned. The attacker shot the body double not knowing if it was the real one or not, and knocked the real Black Mask unconscious not knowing if that was the real one either. Batman normally goes for a tactical approach, except for when it's time for a cutscene and he blows the floor he's standing on, so he lands right in the midst of a heavily armed group and just stands there, waiting for stage 2 of the plan to present itself to him.
Think you can just waltz into my bank, huh?
Roman, I'm here for the Joker.
Batman already knows that someone is impersonating Black Mask, since Black Mask would hardly have to raid his own bank and kill everyone inside it. Arkham Origins is yet another Batman game that sets up someone else from Batman's impressive rogues gallery to be the villain, only for a surprise. It was the Joker all along, meaning 3 of the 4 Arkham games use the exact same rug pull trick.
It's been you this whole time. You hired the assassins. You've been running Sionis' operation.
Well, technically it's my operation now.
Troy Baker does his best as Joker, but when you're up against Mark Hamill's Joker, that's some big clown shoes to fill, especially when you have to mimic his iconic performance instead of coming up with your own interpretation. Since Joker wants Batman dead and even hired all those assassins to kill him, why not kill Batman here while he has him held up at gunpoint? Those auto-release and then disappearing chains are nice. I don't think I would use them to restrain one of my prisoners though. Right after releasing Black Mask, Batman has to restrain his hands again. He could have questioned him while he was chained up. One thing the animators didn't skimp on is Copperhead. That's some good mocap.
An empty promise from a fallen king. I know about the Joker.
How would you know about that? None of the other assassins know yet, and why work for someone who began the business relationship by deceiving you? Black Mask exits the scene and is never brought up again. I know why the Joker couldn't kill Black Mask because of continuity, but it doesn't really make sense. Joker has everything he wanted from him, so Black Mask is just a loose end at this point.
What did you do to me?
With Roger Craig Smith voicing Batman, I could only compare this scene to a similar one. Having the right anti-venom on hand for just such an occasion makes just as little sense here as it did in Resident Evil. Injured and can only walk slowly section. Those are always fun.
You're not this city's savior. You're a Wayne. And a spoiled, wasteful disappointment of a Wayne at that.
Hallucinations will always tell you how much you suck cliché. I was prepared to go all in on sitting this game for being buggy, since that is one of the biggest complaints I knew about it, but for whatever reason, my playthrough is mostly bug-free, except for enemies seemingly filled with helium and yeeting into the sky occasionally when Batman punches them. The only major bug I encountered was the Copperhead boss fight refusing to continue, trapping Batman for eternity in a nightmare hallucination while the last of his brain cells were burned out by neurotoxin, which is a more realistic outcome to Batman being injected with toxin and somehow Alfred having the anti-venom and sending him an air package containing it in time. Batman can track Electrocutioner's electromagnetic signal to where Joker is holding a meeting. There would be so much interference with all the other electromagnetic signals one would find in a city, this would be impossible. Shiva and Deadshot only show up for this meeting through Facecam, though weirdly, they show up in the live video feeds even if you've already defeated them, since those are the 2 optional assassin fights.
As you can see here, Batman deaths are coming in far below projections.
There is no point in calling this meeting. All Joker does is reiterate on what they already know. Kill the Bat. And Joker can hardly blame them for failing to kill Batman. After all, he had his chance in the bank and blew it, and he only gave them a single night for the assassination, with no details on where to find him. I don't know what the Electrocutioner's deal is, or why he's so abused in this game, but I would think he could probably handle the Joker in a fight. Making an example out of someone only works if you can do the same to others who fail to live up to your expectations. I highly doubt Joker could handle Bane or Firefly. Also, after seeing Joker murder Electrocutioner, they could decide this isn't worth the $50 million and wash their hands of all this. The Electrocutioner's gloves allow Batman to charge electrical devices and tase people while fighting. Shame he didn't keep those. How did no one notice the roller coaster and funhouse Joker installed in and outside of the hotel? That would have taken weeks of planning and work. A lot of these funhouse puzzles could only be solved with equipment Batman only gained tonight, like Deathstroke's wire launcher and the Electrocutioner's gauntlets. A news chopper was hovering over the Gotham Royal Hotel, even though there was nothing going on there as far as the public or police were concerned.
He's my palazzo.
Didn't you hire him to kill Batman? I'm getting mixed signals.
It's a tradition in my house to open one present each on Christmas Eve. How about this one?
I know why Joker becomes infatuated with Batman in the future, but I can't understand why he put a price on Batman's head when his plan was to blow up buildings throughout Gotham. His obsession doesn't begin until after this when Batman saves his life, so why involve Batman at all? Wired plunger detonators are a poor choice when your bombs are miles away in some cases. The amount of cabling would be massive, and one break anywhere along the wire would stop the detonation. Maybe don't toss Joker across the table with all the detonators lined up on it. Some of those fall off the table and look like they land on the plungers. All of the detonators that were knocked over are lined up on the table once again.
I've long waited for this moment. With your death, I will find peace.
What was stopping Bane from going after Batman before the contract was put on him? And I know the old backstory of Bane had him being tormented by bats, but how is killing a guy who dresses like one going to bring him peace? Since Bane is only known for doing one thing, breaking Batman's back, we get to see this moment yet again. Stop me if you've heard this one before. The Bane fight boils down to letting Bane run at you, then jumping out of the way, then pulling venom hoses out of him.
I won't stand by and watch you kill yourself. I'm calling Captain Gordon.
Alfred, I don't think you need to worry about calling the police. If that building Joker blew up didn't get their attention, then a phone call won't. Police helicopters are not fitted with gun turrets. Hell, most of the SWAT officers Batman has fought tonight didn't even carry standard issue firearms. Bane and Joker try to kill each other, but they will have no problem working together again at the end of the game.
Take him to Blackgate.
The prison that was raided and destroyed by Joker earlier tonight? Shouldn't you be bringing Joker in for questioning? After all, the police don't know that he's guilty of anything.
Welcome to Blackgate. We're gonna do a quick psychiatric evaluation.
Before being questioned, charged or tried, and even before a medical examination after being blown off a building, Joker is given a psych evaluation by Harleen Quinzel. I think there's more immediate concerns other than his mental state, like the bombs he planted all over Gotham.
Tell me something, dear. Have you ever had a really bad day?
Who needs original concepts when we can recycle all these old ones? At least the developers didn't have to lie about the inclusion of Red Hood in this Arkham game, unlike how they did in Arkham Knight. The developers couldn't figure out how to shoehorn a visit to Crime Alley in Origins, so they have Batman hallucinate it when returning to the Batcave, just in case you somehow forgot how Bruce Wayne's parents died. Crime Alley has looked different in every single Arkham game.
I hoped you might finally be ready to celebrate Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve ended hours ago, Alfred. It's Christmas Day now. Where did the dinner plate Alfred placed on Batman's desk go?
Looks like a match for your globular projectile for non-lethal restraint.
You mean the glue grenade?
Cryo grenades were a gadget Batman came up with in Arkham City. This game being a prequel, but using all the same gadgets from Arkham City to save money, gets glue grenades that do the same thing. And now you have to wonder why Batman never used his glue grenades ever again.
Must have been 400 pounds of muscle. Took 6 cops to gun that bastard down. Yeah, I saw the body in the morgue. Couldn't believe it.
Sounds like this could be Bane or one of his men. If I hurry to the GCPD morgue, I can inspect the body and the autopsy report.
This game has run out of areas for Batman to explore, so it starts sending him back to places he's already been. This is especially egregious when you've set your game in a city.
I will not in good conscience allow you to go. You're outmatched by these assassins.
What?
You're not some hardened vigilante. You're a young man with a trust fund and too much anger.
I blame all of that MTV you used to watch when you were younger, Master Wayne. There was no reason to sneak into Gotham PD's morgue to check if the body the police described as being similar to Bane was the real one. Batman placed a tracker on Bane when they fought the last time. Batman even follows that very tracking device after discovering the dead guy with just one of Bane's goons using venom. Bane knows Batman's identity and therefore knows where he lives. Instead of acting on that information after taking the assassination contract, he decided to wait around until Batman presented himself. Why even bother with Joker's contract hit if it was something he was going to do anyway? The game never bothers explaining how Bane figured out Batman was Bruce Wayne. I guess you just have to have read Bane's introductory comic series. Origins can't decide which Batman series it wants to be. Year 1, Killing Joke or Nightfall.
Alfred, Firefly has hostages on the Pioneers Bridge. I need to deal with him before coming back.
Where did these hostages Firefly takes on the bridge come from? I've seen nothing but roving goon squads in Gotham tonight due to the snowstorm and curfew. Instead of using the Batwing to battle the men with a jetpack, Batman uses it to distract him so he can disarm the bombs. Which, by the way, makes the second bomb plotline in this game. After a prison raid, a building being blown up, and now a hostage situation, I have to wonder why Gotham isn't crawling with the National Guard or being evacuated. It only took one gas attack from the Scarecrow in Arkham Knight to make everyone leave.
Joker's behind bars. There's no more prize money. You can give up now or I can make you surrender.
That argument should actually work. I doubt Firefly would work for free, and after this act of terrorism, he would be one of the most wanted men in the country.
Come home. Say your goodbyes. Once you've had
While Batman was dealing with Firefly, Bane broke into the Batcave and chucked Alfred over a cliff, hoping that it would make Batman angry enough to fight them all out. I would have at least made sure Alfred was going to die if that was the plan.
Don't add me to the weight you carry.
Why even try to trick the player into thinking Alfred died? This is a prequel, and Alfred is around in the other Arkham games. Defibrillators are a bipolar system. You can't just send electricity into someone's body and expect it to resuscitate them. At that point, you are just doing more damage. Batman never even checked if Alfred's heart had stopped beating before defibbing him. That defibrillation must have also repaired the punctured lungs and broken bones Alfred would have suffered after his fall.
The Joker has escaped from his cell and is leading the riots at Blackgate. Repeat, the Joker has taken over the entire prison.
That makes twice in one night the Blackgate prison has been overrun. It all ends where it began cliché. How did Black masked former men get inside the prison to help Joker once he escaped from his cell?
You had a chance to let me die, and you didn't take it. I bet right now you're wishing you had.
And this should be Exhibit A for why Batman's stance on killing or not allowing criminals to die is incredibly naive.
So, what our friend Bane holds in his hand is a heart monitor. Once he clamps it on, every beat of his bacon little heart will charge the battery on this electric chair. And when it's fully charged...
So in what couldn't have been much time after Joker broke out of his cell, he met up with Bane, who decided to have his fight with Batman in a maximum security prison, and they hatched a plan to connect a heart monitor to Bane that would set off an electric chair Joker would be strapped to. And I doubt the tech for this was just lying around. And I highly doubt Blackgate's electric chair is located on a suspended platform over a fighting arena, studded with monitors to show Bane's heart rate. Your final boss fight should never be a repeated boss fight. The devs already used this famous moment earlier. This time though, they follow through with a knee drop. No broken spine though. Gordon doesn't share Batman's principles when it comes to criminals dying. So prioritizing saving Joker from electrocution makes no sense. It even puts him in danger, because Joker breaks free of the restraints and holds him in the chair with him.
Use my shock gloves to temporarily stop Bane's heart.
There's no guarantee that defibrillation will restart a person's heart. You could also just remove the heart monitor from Bane. Joker shoots at the Warden. Gordon blocks the bullet. Then Joker decides not to shoot at the Warden again, even though he has a clear shot now.
Well, I'd love to stay and celebrate your victory, but I've got stockings to stuff, mistletoe to hang, and about 15 skyscrapers to blow up before sunrise.
All of the detonators were destroyed by Bane's rocket, and I would hope Gotham PD had put some time into disarming those bombs by now.
You leave me no choice, Mr. Wayne.
Bane calling Batman Mr. Wayne that loud in a crowded arena should have been heard by enough people to start a word-of-mouth campaign. Guess we're just going to call it lucky and move on. Pretty convenient that there was a narrow hole below the floor for the both of them to fall through after the explosive gel went off. I guess a prisoner attempted to tunnel out here in the past. If you have a better explanation, I'd love to hear it. The second half of the Bane fight is just a repeat of the Mr. Freeze boss fight from Arkham City.
Must find Batman.
Bane's venom causes memory loss. That was something the game went out of its way to point out just so it could steer around the plot hole of Bane not knowing who Batman is in the other Arkham games. He forgets nothing else except that one fact. And if Bane was smart enough to figure out Batman's identity once, what's stopping him from figuring it out again in the future?
We're not so different.
You don't need to point that one out. It's only been the running theme of Batman and Joker for many decades now.
All of tonight's tragedies would have been avoided if Gotham had a proper treatment facility for its top echelon offenders. A place with impenetrable security, where the most dangerous could be isolated, rehabilitated, and treated for their illness. A place like Arkham Asylum.
I guess this is the origin from the game's title, tucked away here, deep in the credits.
And what happens if I don't sign?
You rot in here, or you work for me.
Thank goodness the Suicide Squad sequel bait has yet to be taken.
Come on, baby. Beat me till your knuckles bleed.